So I'm Chris Fox here at Kambi and I'm our Chief Legal Officer. The two principal functional areas that we support on are legal and regulatory. So from a legal perspective, that's pretty much everything the business needs internally, along with supporting our operators in contractual negotiations. And then from a regulatory perspective, it's ensuring that we achieve compliance in the new jurisdictions, or with reference to the US, the new states that we go into. I think specifically within the context of PASPA in the US, we've really needed to build out our regulatory function and really build out our processes and our technology to support going into new states and new jurisdictions. But the US isn't the full picture, so we've also got significant work in Europe with re-regulations, such as, for example, Sweden, where we supported operators from the 1st of January of this year. And I think we've also seen the US result in a bit of a ripple effect in other territories. So South America is quite active at the moment, and there's also some activity in Africa. So it's a really exciting time from a regulatory perspective. And legally, obviously, with more operators within our network, that's increased the work that my team do in partnering with our success team and ensuring that those operators are properly supported legally as well. We've really needed to scale up in the last 18 months or so, and that's been really exciting because it's been brilliant to be able to build a team that can better support both Kambi and the company internally, but also our operators as well. One of the really exciting elements of my role has been that I've presided over quite a significant growth period within Kambi, and what that's enabled me to do is build the team from 2 people to around 10 lawyers/legal professionals that we have at the moment. And what I wanted to do when building the team was really to build the best possible framework and baseline for providing a strong and flexible service to our operators. And I think there's probably 2 elements to that. So the first element was that I wanted to really work on our precedents to make them as reasonable as possible to enable efficient contracting and efficient negotiation. So did that from an NDA perspective, cut the NDA down to a single page, and it's very reasonable and it's entirely mutual. So it means that operators and other entities can hopefully quickly start negotiating with us and discussing the transactions, the deals, the matters that they want to talk about. So I think that's the first point. But then the second point is also being really alive to the fact that our operators and our customers have lots of different needs and lots of different requirements. And I think a really strong part of negotiation, and I'm a big proponent of the Harvard negotiation method and the win-win solution, is A, listening to what the interests of the other party are, and B, being prepared to be creative in problem solving and trying to come up with solutions to the issue that is really appropriate. And what does that mean in practice? Well, it really means that we have a precedent, we have a number of different issues which come up frequently, but we're always open to operators raising more issues that are really important to them, and then trying to come up with a creative drafting position which doesn't increase our exposure necessarily, but properly manages, hopefully fully manages, the issues that they're raising. And as I say, that's really underpinned by the Harvard negotiation method and our desire to partner with operators. We're not just a supplier, we're a partner, and that's completely within the DNA of my team, and that's what everyone works to. So I think something that's very important to me and that is really important to the Kambi legal and regulatory teams is that we're seen as business partners, and that's business partners within the context of the Kambi business, but also, and perhaps more importantly, partners to our operators as well, and partners to our operators' legal teams. And this is probably best demonstrated perhaps in the US, because it's obviously a young market and a really exciting time for Kambi and also the sector that we operate in. So with DraftKings, for example, we secured the first transactional waiver that enabled us to take the first legal online bet in a post-PASPA world, and that's incredibly exciting. I'm immensely proud of all the work the team did. They did a brilliant job in making it happen and supporting DraftKings to make it happen, because the transactional waiver is a bilateral document and it's something that we achieved together. Beyond that, and looking into further states, in Pennsylvania, we're extremely excited about the opportunities represented by Rush and Parks. We've already had successful launches from a retail perspective, which is a value proposition which we've been extremely keen to develop within Kambi and excel at, because it's so important to America as a market. And I think really the way that we've achieved that has been through the strong dialogue and communication that we've had between the legal teams. So both launches were preceded by around 6 months of engagement and 6 months of communication. And that communication has been, as I say, both with Rush and Park's legal and regulatory teams, but also with the regulators themselves. And we've built personal relationships wherever we can with the regulators to ensure that licenses are achieved as efficiently as possible. I think strategic alignment is absolutely critical, and I think that we're very well placed to do that, and that's for a number of reasons. Firstly, my team has built a lot of multidisciplinary expertise, and that enables us to seek licensing and seek accreditation in lots of territories worldwide. So we've obviously talked about America, but also South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia. We're very, very well placed to be able to strategically align with our operator network and make sure that we can meet their requirements from a licensing perspective. I think I've mentioned previously that's supported by the expertise of the teams, but I also, I think, referenced at the beginning that we've built specific technology to support from a legal perspective. So we've got planning tools and project management tools that enable us to seek licensing and seek accreditation as efficiently as possible. And that's one of the things that helps us to meet the quite tight timeframes that sometimes our operators have to achieve accreditation in new markets. In addition to that, the legal and regulatory teams really need to support product to ensure compliance in new markets. And a lot of that is external and internal communication. So we need to be really, really efficient within Kambi to make sure that the regulatory team is talking to the product team and ensuring that any specific license requirements are properly reflected in our products. So that's critical. But we also need to communicate outwards to the external partners, so our operator network. And often that is the responsibility of the regular dialogue that my team has with counterparts within operators such as 888 and Kindred. And I mention those two because they have a very, very broad international reach, and it's a really good example of where we've been able to serve tier ones and be strategically aligned with them to help them to achieve their goals. I'd also say that thought leadership is a really, really important part of strategic alignments, because what we really want to do is leverage our position as a premier provider of sports betting solutions within the different markets that we operate in, so that we can get engagement with regulators and we can hopefully help to use our expertise to manage the regulatory regimes and present rules that are better for the industry as a whole. So as an example of that, one of my team, Tommaso De Chior, is our Senior Legal and Regulatory Counsel, and he has spoken at conferences throughout the US and Europe to try to help achieve that objective.